everybody. Welcome to the school committee of November 12th, 2024. Before you have an agenda, but before I ask for a motion, I would like to ask, we are going to strike the school calendar update from this meeting as Dr. Hallett has not had appropriate time to speak with the NTA. And then we'll also move the superintendent's update. Dr. Hallett will be joining us, but not until a bit later. So we'll go straight into presentations after public comment. May I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. First on the agenda is public comment. Can't see with my glasses on. Come on down, David. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is David Dixon, and I have been researching, studying, analyzing, reporting, and writing about elementary and secondary education in public schools since 1983, including the last 12 years on Nantucket, where I have lived full-time since October 2012. Let's revisit the very serious situation at Nantucket Public Schools regarding the very low percentage of students in grades 3 through 8 who have exceeded expectations in math on MCAS tests during the last 2 years. At the beginning of the September 3rd school committee meeting, I expressed great concern over the fact that only 1% of Nantucket students in grades 3 to 8 exceeded expectations in math in 2023, compared to 7% statewide. Later, during that same meeting, the NPS Director of Math Curriculum presented the lengthy and complex math pathways report to the committee and superintendent. Yet, given what was a perfect opportunity, nobody bothered to ask the STEM director a single question about these depressing MCAS results afflicting our best students. Not one question. At the October 15th school committee meeting, this time focusing on the recently released 2024 MCAS results, I again expressed great concern over the depressingly low number of Nantucket students in grades 3 to 8 who exceeded expectations in math. Compared to 8% statewide last year, again, only 1% of Nantucket students reached this benchmark. I specifically pointed out to the school committee and superintendent and the audience that not a single Nantucket student in grades 5, 6, and 7 exceeded expectations in math last year. Not one. Compared to a statewide average of 7% for these three grades, Nantucket's percentage was 0. Then at the school committee's October 29th workshop, where the superintendent, committee members, curriculum directors, principals, and their assistants took their annual deep dive into MCAS data, nobody, not a single principal, not a single committee member, not the curriculum director, not the superintendent, bothered to address this ongoing and worsening situation. I draw two conclusions. First, very, very few of our most intelligent students, that is, in terms of aptitude, and or our hardest working students, that is, in terms of effort, are reaching their potential in math compared to results across the state. This is as disturbing as it is unacceptable. Second, given that school committee members and the superintendent have missed multiple golden opportunities to pursue this serious issue in public forums, I conclude that they don't regard this massive failure to be of great concern. And that too is as disturbing as it is unacceptable. I'm almost done. To be clear, Nantucket Public Schools are failing to meet the needs of our very best students, measured in terms of aptitude and effort. Taxpayers spend about $50 million a year on Nantucket schools. We spend nearly $30,000 per student, and we pay teachers an average of about $100,000 per year for less than 9 months of work. We deserve more for our money, and so do our best students. Thank you, and I'll watch the rest of the meeting on video tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Is there anyone else for public comment this evening? Okay, we'll close that segment of the agenda and we will move straight on to presentations and discussions. I'd like to invite Melissa Devitt up, please, Director of Curriculum and Assessment for Humanities. Hi, Deb. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So we're going to just talk a little bit about homeschooling tonight. And I just want to preface this with, I believe, as of Thursday, we will be down 2 more homeschooling students. So right now we have a total of 9, but starting on Thursday morning, we will only have a total of 7 as 2 students are coming back to the school. Okay, so what happens for homeschooling procedures, and this is all mapped out onto our website, is that if a parent is interested in homeschooling, they reach out to the district 14 days prior to their request for homeschooling. Once they submit that request, it has to include their educational study and how they're going to assess their child throughout the school year, and it has to be approved by the school district. The parent must certify in writing the name, the age, the residence, and the hours of attendance that the child is going to do. They have to let us know what curriculum they're going to choose, and some use online curriculum, some use homegrown curriculum. There are lots of curriculums that you can find online that are all put together for parents. They do choose their own textbooks, their own workbooks, and any other instruction that they use that isn't provided by the school district at all. There are some parents that reach out, and I'm happy to help them with getting that all under control and started, but most parents just do that on their own. There is periodic standardized testing to ensure that the students are making gains and progress, but that is based on the program that the parents choose. And the next couple are just a couple of graphs. I know it's hard to see, but this data goes all the way back to 2018. So in 2018 in Nantucket Public Schools, we only had 1 student that was being homeschooled. That went up during COVID, as most school districts did. And then in 2022-23, we were up to 9. And then 23, we were down to 7 again. And then we were up to 9 this year. But again, I said 2 students have re-registered. So now we are back down to 7. So this slide just shows our policies, the state laws that we have to follow, and the procedures, and how to contact me is all based on them. All right on the website. That's it. Any questions?
Tim, comments, questions?
How do we know that that number is real? As I suspect it's on the low side.
Yeah, I would suspect that not all families come to do that, but legally they are required to go through the school district to file for homeschooling, but I would assume that you are correct that all people do not do that. So the only thing we can do is go by if someone lets us know that they know of a child that isn't attending school, and then we will, attend to that through DCF and the proper channels. But right now, the only mechanism we have for homeschooling is if they come forward and request that.
We don't send the jackbooted thugs to kick down the door.
No thugs.
Final comment.
Okay.
Laura.
I'm just curious, how many of those students are from, how many families are represented by that number?
There are nine students currently, and that would be 7 separate families. So, and that's a good point. It does depend on family. This year we have 3 students that are being homeschooled, all in the same family, but the kindergartner wanted to come to school. So 2 of the siblings are staying at home, and then the little one is coming. So it just depends on the family.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Chantal.
You mentioned that kids were coming back. How do you handle kids who have been homeschooled, their parents having them re-enter the school system?
We support them just like any of the other students. The one student that is coming back, it missed most of last year and the beginning of this year. So we'll do whatever we can to get them up to speed and provide the support in school. And the parent is really dedicated to helping the student get back together. And she has also been following a curriculum that's pretty structured. So I think that'll hopefully dovetail right in. Mm-hmm. But the other one is a little one that just Cayman Island. So.
Thank you.
Do parents ever like inquire in terms of like if they're thinking about homeschooling? Like, do they ask you guys? Is there like a system for like if they want help looking
They
at
do.
programs?
Actually, that's a lot of parents do just call and come and meet, and then nothing ever comes of it because they want to talk about what the system is and how they're held accountable and what the students have to do. And I have to admit, it's a lot of work to homeschool a child. So a lot of parents do meet with me, and then they decide they don't want to, or some meet with me and they decide they want to with some help. So we just go based on what the need is.
So when you say help, what do you mean by that?
A lot of parents just want to know what the state standards are, so that if it is a temporary situation, and they want their kids to come back to school the following year, they want to know that when they come back to school, just like Chantal was saying, that they'll be on par with the other students. So they want to know, what are the standards, what resources are we using in school, what should they be focused on at home. Some parents use a very specific curriculum, and other parents use things that they have made and choose maybe a Montessori method for instruction. So it just depends on the preference.
And just for the benefit of everyone listening tonight, homeschool students are allowed to participate in school sports?
Yes, we
And
do.
any
We do have students that come in to just play sports, or they come in and they just do a special area, or they come in and they do a social emotional group, or there are lots of ways that we can partner with them.
That's terrific. Thank you so much.
You bet.
That's,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Martin, would you like to come up with the preliminary budget forecast?
Good evening.
evening.
So I have, the preliminary budget forecast. This is we always start as every year with the current fiscal year budget, which for FY25 is 40,178,395. So that's the figure that was voted in Article 8 of last year's town meeting. It consists of payroll of 33,345,870 and 6,832,525 for operating expenses. Those are the two buckets where that the budget is separated into Article 8. So we've had numerous discussions already with the town. I've spoken with the finance director of the town, Brian Turbit, as well as myself and Superintendent Hallett met with Town Manager Libby Gibson, Brian Turbit, to discuss the budget for the following year. There are a lot of challenges that the town is facing at the moment with revenues. The revenues for the latest quarter were disclosed to have come a little under last year, so we'll see how that affect our budget when we negotiate. But in order for us, when we do the preliminary budget forecast, in order for us to move forward our existing staff for payroll purposes, we will need $36,047,000. So that's an increase of $2.7 million just for payroll. This is based on existing contracts as well as an assumption for the contract that is due to be negotiated this year, which is with the education support personnel. The operating side, as I've said for a year now, is worrisome. As you see with the sheet in front of you, it's getting squeezed further. Percentage-wise, salaries were 83% of our budget. Are 83% of our budget this year. Next year, as projected, they're going to be 84%. This keeps this is becoming a little too disproportionate, in my opinion. So my focus, Superintendent Hallett's focus, and our leadership team has been to be able to budget appropriately, not just for personnel on the personnel side, but also for the operating expenses. As you know, we faced inflation, so a lot of products and services are more expensive today. The cost of labor is more expensive, meaning for outside providers, as well as certain things are changing this year. We are losing part of our Title I funding, which we were using to offset the cost of a teacher. We are also ending our cycle with ESSER grants. The last one, ESSER 3, which was $970,000, expired on September 30th. So the latest expenses we could apply, it's done now. So all that is left is for us to close it out and report. That grant was used also, as well as for personnel and summer school. It was used a lot for professional development services, a lot of our staff. We used to pay PD providers from it, so all that now gets to go back to our budget. So what you see in front of you is a very preliminary forecast of a budget that's close to $43 million. It represents a total of 7% increase. So I'm open to any questions on anything.
Super, thank you, Martin. Tim? No? Well,
No questions. Thank you,
Chantal?
Martin.
Cecilia?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I just continue going
Continue
to
on.
the?
Yes, please.
So the first quarter
No, actually,
report.
go back and sit down. I'm just joking.
Just to get my steps up, I still need about 1,000 to get to 10,000. So it's the first quarter is the one that consists basically of 1 month of school and 2 summer months. So it's not indicative for me at least of how the year will go. But as you can see, we've already committed 26% of our operating budget. The increase in the overall budget is $877,815, of which 704 are payroll. So payroll budget is expanded at 11% at the moment compared to 9% last year. That has to do, for the most part, with the fact that we are almost fully staffed, which is great news for our school system, as opposed to last year where we had numerous unfilled positions at the start of the school year. Like I mentioned in my budget presentation, the rest of the increase in the expenses this year is due to professional development costs that, like as I mentioned, used to be applied to the ESSER grant, as well as books and curriculum books and purchases. We purchased a new curriculum for the high school for Spanish that was close to $50,000. We continue to fund a initiative of a new math curriculum throughout the district. So there were additional $50,000 purchased for workbooks and replenishing for the school year. And the other expenses are pretty much even. There isn't much fluctuation. The hardware is a little less expended than last year. Software and subscriptions is a little over. So we're looking at these adjustments for the upcoming FY26. We've reached a point where a lot of our expenses now are online subscriptions. We have a huge amount of those, so we are updating that software budget, as you see, when technology comes to present FY26. And so that's on the school side. That's what I can report for the first quarter. Like I said, it's 1 month. We've been 1 month back in school, but yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
Community
say
school?
something?
No, I can finish
No,
and then
go
you can
ahead,
ask
yeah.
questions. Either or, whichever you prefer.
No, go ahead. Thank you.
The community school continues revenues show a very healthy increase of $99,000, with the subsidy from the town being the same as last year at $600,000. So that's a very positive trend for the community school. It's been ongoing now for 2-3 years. That's been the rebound that's happened to all the programming there after COVID. The expense side is slight increase of $1,800. That's mostly due to contractual obligations. So at this stage, the community school looks great, revenue and expense wise. School lunch, you'll see a close to $42,000 reduction in the deficit in the program. I don't attribute much to this. It very much depends on the inventory level at the opening of the school year, as well as the contractual obligations with the personnel and the staffing. So, in speaking with Linda, we anticipate the deficit to be probably at the end of the year around $60,000-$70,000. We have spoken with Chartwells numerous times. In order to keep employees, we needed to increase salaries there, so wages have been adjusted at least to cover inflationary adjustments. So, like I said, it's showing 33,000, but that's very preliminary. That's just literally 3 weeks of operation for the school lunch program. This year, all meals, as you know, Massachusetts has voted to become in perpetuity, a universally free meal state. So we're getting reimbursed at $4.47, $4.48 for lunches and $2.37 for breakfast this year. That's going to be throughout the year. If you have any questions.
Tim?
How does that, what we're being reimbursed, how is that in relation to what it's costing us?
It pretty much covers costs. That we're not breaking even when you take into consideration all the personnel side of it as well as inflation on all goods and services. That's why I think that we'll end up with a deficit around $60,000 to $70,000.
And how was that in relation to last year?
Last year, where did we end up last year? Last year, I believe we closed the year with under 20,000 at the end. I just feel this year is going to be more. So it started off last year and it kept staying high, but then the tricky part last year was at the start of the year there was a delay in the payments from federal and state reimbursements, so that those were not being factored, and they all came in the second quarter of the year. So I have a feeling that when I present the second quarter, the numbers will be comparative to last year.
Laura?
No questions. Thank you, Martin.
Chantel?
You mentioned that you think it'll be more. Why would it be more? Do
The
we have more?
subsidy? Because we negotiated increases for the employees of Chartwells this year that were outside of what Chartwells was offering. We've consistently been understaffed in the food service program. I don't think Linda has had full staffing since probably 2016 or 17. There's always at least 2 positions on field. So we ended up paying more to the existing employees so that we get retention. I mean, and they deserve it. They work very hard to their limits possible. Linda as well. I mean, she, as you know, she covers everything. She tries to be everywhere. She'll do cashier. She'll be in the kitchen. She's everywhere. So it's been the reality for a while in the school lunch program. And also, I don't think we're gonna see a very quick easing of inflation. So I feel that we're not yet out of the high inflation environment. The forecast inflation for next year, I believe, somebody sent it to me, it's close to 4%. Continues to be for the state of Massachusetts. So.
Can you explain the Chartwell contract to me a little bit?
The
'Cause I don't really understand how it all works.
So basically, we outsource completely the food service management and handling. Chartwells is the employee in the employer. They cover costs, so they do orders, food service orders, supplies, pay their personnel, and then they pass those costs to us, and they have a management fee that where they make. If they go over the budgeted subsidy, which for this year I believe is $127,000. If they go over, we have the right to go and ask for that management fee to be paid back to us, which happened back in 2015 when I started working for the schools. We ended up asking back because they were over the subsidy. At the time, the subsidy was budgeted about $35,000-40,000. It has increased because they just don't think that with the current reimbursement schedule. Another thing I forget. Last year, after January, we got an additional reimbursement of 14 cents per lunch, which we are not getting this year. So our last year was $4.62 between January and end of June. This year it's $4.48. So that's why I hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope I report in 8-9 months and we break even. So
Thank you.
that is one thing I hopefully I get completely wrong.
I hope so too. Cecilia?
No questions.
No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to, just for clarification for everybody, was going to ask a similar question regarding the Chartwell contract. So the 60,000 deficit is what comes out of our budget,
Yes. So
as well as the cost that we pay to Chartwells for managing the food.
So basically, they send me their P&L. They print it out when it's the end of the month, and I get it by the 15th of the next month. I receive a P&L which I have to go through. They send me all the invoices they've covered, so I need to match them to make sure that everything is correct and correctly input in the system. And those monthly invoices run anywhere between $65,000 and $75,000 throughout the year for 10 months. So in essence, we end up paying roughly between 700 and 750 to Chartwells during the year. Like I said, there is a management fee there, but the rest of it is just a pass-through for us to cover. But they manage, they hire, the hiring, the rates, they decide the medical insurance their employees get is through Chartwells, not through the town. So they're
they
not
do
town
get
employees.
Insurance. Is that something new? Because I didn't think they did get insurance.
I believe they do. I'm not sure exactly the plan they have. I don't think it's anything similar to what we offer all
Yeah.
the time.
And again, we've got a food service committee. I think Laura and Esmeralda are on.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to seeing future conversations.
I encourage
Let's
anybody
that.
to go and try food and everything. We welcome any recommendations. That would be, it's helpful always. The contract, just to finish up. So the way it's structured is every 5 years we have to go out to bid by law. We have to bid it out and get proposals. Last two times we've bid it out, we've only received Chartwells. Nobody else. It's very territorial business. They don't step on each other's toes, for a lack of a better explanation, which is unfortunate. You always want to see 2-3 bidders. You want to be able to choose. You want to see different menus, different ideas. We haven't been able to do that in the past 2 cycles. The latest 5-year commitment was 2022. So we are we're now in year 22. So 23, 24, so we're in year 2, we're going into year 3. So. We have the right, just to clarify, we have the right every year, if we decide to, if there is a reason for which we decide that we no longer want to operate with Chartwells, to go out to bid again. Usually it has to happen in February. So we put it out to bid in February. We give reasonable time. Usually it's about 3-4 weeks, and we wait to see if the previous time we bid it out, was a company based out of New Hampshire that came, Fresh Picks Cafe. They got a tour of the buildings. They met with Linda. They met with myself. They came to visit us in central office. Met with Superintendent Khaled. They didn't bid though.
Before you leave, when I started watching school committee meetings and attending them many, many years ago, your predecessor, Mr. Field, would stand up here and do his presentations. And it always amused me because he would just be able to recite off line item, the amounts, and everything else. So I'm going to test you before you sit down, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's
I've
fine.
wanted to do this for years, but tonight I can.
Okay.
Mr. Angeloff, what is the line item, please? This is just randomly picked for the pool fee income.
Oh, 26311 for, I don't know, 421 something. I'm not sure
421?
about.
Come on, you got it. Well done.
I was gonna say 93, it's 92, but it's
92.
Yeah, it's.
I'm
I know
just
the
messing, I don't know
expense
if
the
Glenn's
expense
watching.
ones by heart, but you picked a tough one because they
I did that on
have
purpose.
unique revenue line items in the pool. Yeah, amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing. I recently we always communicate yearly for his birthday, so he seems to be in good spirits.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes, I was just in contact with him, so I just, as you're sitting on the
I don't think I'll
I
ever
gotta
have.
tease you a little bit.
I can only dream of having his brain. So.
Thank you so much, Martin.
Thank you. Thank you.
for everything that you're doing for us. We're going to continue on with the community school update,
That's
and
fine.
we'll come
I can
back
go
to.
again, sure.
So, Alicia Graziadei, would you like to come up? And is Andrea Wolff coming up too? Excellent. From the Nantucket Community School.
Martin's slides,
Okay.
because there's quite a few.
Look at you go, Martin. You win longest presentation.
Probably my longest financial presentation in a while.
There we go. All right, I made it.
I'll make sure I memorize it.
Okay, please do.
That's right.
The one that I usually do instead of Martin.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. Well, thank you for having us. Tonight, we are going to just give you a brief presentation about the community school, but we're going to focus on our grants and our gifts because we do have a slightly different budget, and we're hoping that a little bit of background information will help everyone understand it better, but also sort of highlight some of the programs that are receiving that funding because they really benefit from it. So, the weight room, correct?
Yes.
For those of you that are not familiar with the community school, we are essentially the 5th public school, and we do programming from birth to adulthood, spanning every age and every stage. In our school, we have about 4 main departments that you can see here. Early childhood, sports and wellness, which also includes dance. We absorbed it into this one this past year because Kelly retired. We have adult education, camp in the summer, which is seasonal, clearly. Driver's education, and also our pool programming. And we have 3 separate offices, so we are kind of all over the place here. We're at Nantucket Elementary School, where we share with our lovely principals down there at NES. We are at 56 Center Street in town, where we rent from Remain in the music building downtown. And we also have our staff at the pool at the high school. Switch to get the microphone.
Much taller than I am. So you can see from our beautiful pie chart here that we raise about half of our budget from program income, and the other half comes from the town appropriation and then gifts and grants. So as Alicia said, our budget is separate from the schools, and the town appropriation covers our insurance. We pay our own health insurance. So it covers staff insurance as well as administrative salaries and fees. So it's not quite enough to cover all of those things, which is why we do have to charge fees for our programs. We also have some departments that are not as fee-based as others. So early childhood, for example, we don't have very many programs or within that department that charge fees as opposed to dance and sports where we can charge a little bit more. So tonight we're going to just talk about our, and I'm going to mess up the slideshow here. Oh, actually, before we move on, I just wanted to, we have a list here of all of the donors who have given us. When I say grants, I'm talking about anything that we have to really apply for. I know that from Martin's perspective, all of these are really gifts unless they come from the state. And we do receive some money from the DESE, but everything else is pretty much a private foundation. Most of them are, I'd say all of them are on Nantucket, actually. And just go like that. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a few of our adult education programs that are grant funded or largely grant funded. We have our ESOL classes, which are going on tonight, actually. They're twice a week for about 3-month sessions, and as you can see, we have over 80 students enrolled in the fall. And usually it's a little bit less in the spring as people get busier after the new year. We have 4 different levels in 5 classrooms here in the high school, and we have participants from 10 to 15 different countries. So they're largely Spanish and Portuguese speaking, but we have many, I don't even know how many different languages are represented. Do you know?
10. I'm looking at Lindsay because
Yeah.
it's earlier, but it's it's quite diverse right now. We definitely have students not only from Central America, South America, but also in Europe this year.
So one of the things that the grants really cover the majority of our expenditures, and salaries are the biggest expenditure for this class, but we do charge a small fee. Basically the grant is there to gap the funding between what we feel we can charge our students and what it actually costs to run the program. And this is funded mostly by the Nantucket Fund at the Community Foundation. And then another program that we run is called the Memory Cafe, and this takes place twice a month, once at our Island Home and once at Sherburne Commons, and groups meet. And you don't have to be someone who's a a resident in either of those. Anyone can come who has any kind of memory impairment at all. So it's not just for even elderly citizens. It's for anyone who's an adult can come to this. Dementia and other forms of memory loss. And they meet together with their caregivers, and they do projects, and we have performers, we have musicians come in and play, you know, anything that we think might help them to jog their memories and get them more involved, and help the caregivers too to meet each other, because it's a lot of work for anyone to be a caregiver for someone with a memory impairment. And we received 2 different grants for this. One is from the Massachusetts Council on Aging, and the other one is from the town of Nantucket. We call it the CRC grant, but it's really Health and Human Services. Does anyone have any questions about those before me?
Do you guys have more adult program? Is that like
We definitely do.
you
Yes,
do?
yes.
Okay, that's
I'm
what I
sorry. Yeah,
figured. I figured I was.
we do. I can. These are just the ones that the grants. Well, we also have a
Okay,
grant
got
that
it.
cover our GED program,
Okay.
and GED is ongoing year round, and so people kind of drop in and you know, when they need the help.
Right.
We have a bilingual teacher there, as well as a teacher who's there as a proctor, and that one it's on Wednesday evenings. The attendance varies, but that is also funded by a grant. We have a state grant for that, and
Let's remain Nantucket.
that is Remain Nantucket. Yes, thank you. That takes place at 56 Center Street
Okay.
downstairs. It's the same night as tap class, so it's a raucous evening in the basement of
Yeah.
56 Center Street.
No,
we
we
also
do.
Run the test center, so when teachers, especially if they need their MTEL testing, we run that. TSA now uses our test center for things, so that's available to anyone who needs a proctored exam. We have Spanish. We just started a beginner Spanish class. We thought we're teaching ESOL, we might as well teach another language as well. Our French class didn't quite take off lately. We haven't had as much interest in that, but the Spanish class is full and it's intensive. It's like it's twice a week, and it's long. It's a long class. It's a couple of hours each night.
It runs
and-
the same time as ESOL. It's just in a different classroom.
Right. So that's been a really popular program.
So yeah, no, we have a plethora of programs, but tonight we're just focusing on a couple of the grant-based ones, just so that you can see that, you know, a lot of our programs, we really wouldn't be able to have them if we didn't have these grants, or at least we wouldn't be able to offer them at the price that we're offering them, and that's really the huge takeaway here. We're just, we're so grateful, you know, to this community that supports all of these programs.
In Memory Cafe, I should have mentioned, there is no fee to attend Memory Cafe, so anyone can go. We really want to make it as accessible as possible.
I'm going to move into a couple of our early childhood programs that receive funding. So the first is Ready Set School, and that's happening right now. It takes place in town at our 56 Center Street building. You can see in the photo here, the children are in our playroom area. And it's a kindergarten readiness program. This program sort of leads into our Summer Boost program, which I'll talk about in a minute, but this is for caregivers and their children. So they come in, they work with our teachers. We do have a bilingual teacher on staff at this time as well, and it meets on Wednesday mornings from 10:30 to 12. So this is happening during basically almost the entire school year. It ends in early spring, and we have our graduation. And this is funded through Remain Nantucket. It's free. It's a free play group. Anyone can sign up. You know, we really try not to turn people away to this program. In some years, we've actually doubled the size so that we could accommodate as many people as possible. And then from this group, we often have quite a few students that enter our Summer Boost program. So this is our, so I will call this more of an intensive kindergarten readiness program that is more classroom based. And this program takes place at the elementary school in the kindergarten classrooms. We have about 25%, about 30 students, you know, incoming students that have never had preschool-based programming. So it's a really important program and gets them ready for school. And we have a lot of funding for this from a couple different sources. So I'm just going to go back to Ready Set School for a second because I know we skipped over that. Ready Set School is also funded by Remain Nantucket. Completely covers the cost, and that's what allows it to be free. And then for Summer Boost, which is a larger program, it does accommodate many more students. It has a couple of different funders. So we do receive money from the Nantucket Fund at the Community Foundation, but also from Nantucket Education Trust and Sconset Chapel. So again, you know, we We do charge a small fee for this program, but this is what keeps it affordable because it is such a large program, and it spans the entire summer school season that we have here for the public school students. It mirrors it exactly. So just to give you a sense. And our pool program that I wanted to highlight is our free family swim. It's very popular. It takes place on Saturdays. We have signups on Wednesday mornings. There's 2 sessions. So the first session is at 1 p.m. and the second is at 2 p.m. So they're about 15 minutes each. It's for families to go and swim with their children, or caregivers to go and swim with children, to get them comfortable in the water, to have fun, to get used to being at the pool. Completely free. It is generously underwritten by the Nantucket. This is wrong.
They're now the Nantucket
They just
Athletic
changed.
Association. Yeah, they
Yes. Nantucket Athletic Association, which is overseen by Jim Meehan, who also volunteers his time and his volunteers to do our adults learn to swim program. So we're very, very fortunate to have partnership with them. And then finally, outside of monetary giving, we have so many wonderful collaborators and partnerships on this island with our play groups, with our programs. We could not do a lot of the work that we do if we didn't have these sort of in-kind partnerships where we are working with other nonprofits on the island. Sorry, we are not a nonprofit. That was confusingly stated. But working with these nonprofits allows us to really enhance our programs. So this is a picture of Seth here from Linda Loring. He does a lot of work with our campers and with our extended day program. We have Mariah Mitchell come in. We work with the Nantucket Conservation Foundation with Neil Foley to offer play groups for free where they walk through nature and take little nature hikes right now. It's so popular. Highly recommend. Star Nantucket at the pool. Nisha having our Read to a Buddy program. The list goes on. And again, we just bring this to your attention because we are so grateful. We could not do this without all of these wonderful people. So on that note, questions?
Great, thank you very much. Tim.
Can you say something about the GED program?
Sure, just like a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
So the GED program is offered throughout the school year, and it's on Wednesday evenings. We do have a bilingual teacher on staff to work with John, who is our lead teacher. It's down at our computer lab at 56 Center Street. And basically, we enroll students, and they work through the program at their own pace, but they have someone there to support them in the online work or in any of the work that is confusing or needs clarification.
We provide software also to facilitate as they're studying for the GED, and so we have the subscription to the software that they use in our computer lab, so that it's a place where they can come and study if they don't have anywhere quiet at home too.
Have we ever used any of our guidance people to work with the students that may have an interest in going on for further education?
So as far as furthering their education, we do partnerships with universities like with Cape Cod Tech and SNU. But with the GED program, we generally see more adults or students that are leaving the high school early to complete their degree. It's a little, so we don't really work with guidance per se unless we're transferring us. Like sometimes they do have to fill out paperwork if they're under 18 and they're before the graduation date. It's more like transferring
going back to school.
Mandy, do you have a question?
Yeah, through the chair, please.
Yes.
To answer Dr. Leckery's question, there is a requirement, particularly for our students who make the choice to leave school, that we are required to have an exit interview with them and share with them what options they may have for furthering their education. And we also let them know that if they did make the decision to return, that we can also help them transition back to high school. And that is a DESE requirement. So we do have the different options being, like Cape Cod Collaborative and other surrounding educational opportunities that they might want to look into after they have done the GED or the HiSET.
Okay, thank you.
So just to recap, Mrs. Vassell, so you are working, pardon?
Quizzing me too?
No, because you didn't come up to the microphone, so I'm going to, for our numerous watchers, I just want to make sure that they heard the answer correctly. which I'm going to really mess up. But so you do work with the community school with students who have left high school before they've graduated. They're working to their GEDs, but once they get the GED, they can also come back to the guidance department, or the school has resources for them should they wish to continue on their education?
Yes.
Yes, that was your question, right? Okay. Thank you. Laura?
No questions. Thank you.
Chantel?
Just a few questions. So the ESOL class, how many teachers do you have in a class with 10 different languages?
It's a great question. So the way that it's set up right now, we have 5 classrooms.
Okay.
So 2 beginners classrooms, and then we do it by level. So it's level 1, 2 classrooms, level 2, 3, and 4 each have a classroom. Each room has a lead teacher, and each room has a teaching assistant. And then we have a coordinator that oversees the entire program, and she's also there every night, and she speaks 4 languages. So we are very fortunate in that in every classroom we do have somebody there that does speak more than just English.
Mm-hmm.
We're not able to meet every single language that comes through our door, clearly, but we do the best that we can. The good news is that they are there to learn English. So even though we do offer more support in the lower classes, by the time they are in level 3 and 4, they don't really need as much support in that respect and having another language available.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then are the teachers paid, or are they volunteers?
And all of our staff is paid. And actually right now we have one TA who is a high school student, and he is lovely, and he's our youngest teaching assistant. That was brought to us by Barbara Cohen.
That's great. Thank you. And then, can I continue?
Of course you can.
For the early childhood programs, how do you reach families so that they know about all the great programs that you're offering?
Another great question. So we are very fortunate that we have a fairly robust social media following, thanks to Lindsay over here in the audience, our communications director. And Pauline has been with us, Pauline Cronin, for 18 years now. So she is well connected to the community. She has her own email list as well that we use to reach to families. But we have so many programs starting with childbirth education that reaches families before they even have children, that we're very fortunate in that we can connect with parents even before they're really truly parents. Mm-hmm. So we use all of the different avenues that we can to reach people.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then
You're cut off.
There's just so much in there. I want to know more. For the summer boost program, because they families pay for that.
Yes.
Right? How much? What does it cost a family to be a
to
part of it?
participate?
Yeah.
So this past summer it was $200 to participate for the entire session.
Wow.
But we didn't turn any families away. So we did have a few families that required some financial aid, which we were able to offer them. But we really do try to engage and keep every single family that comes to us.
That's awesome.
One of the grants we didn't talk about is our tuition assistance grant. So we have a grant through the Nantucket Golf Club Foundation to provide tuition assistance, and right now it's for childcare. We have extended to Summer Boost because we kind of feel like that falls under that. So it's for our extended day program and for summer camp, which we consider to be childcare. But it's not always enough. We have had a lot more applicants lately, so we're always looking for more funding for that as well. And that Summer Boost, that helps us to keep if a family really needs some help with Summer Boost, we definitely open that up for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Cecilia?
I have a couple more questions about the early childhood program.
Sure.
How long is it? Like, I know you said it's the summer. Is it the whole summer?
For Summer Boost?
Yeah.
So it mirrors the summer school weeks in the summer.
Okay.
So it's 5. I just butchered that. It's 4 principals.
5 weeks.
Summer school?
My camp is so much longer in the summer that I always. Thank you. It's 4 weeks. I knew they could help me out with that. We have camp going simultaneously, which is 7 or 8, so that's where I get confused.
Okay. And then the camps, how old are those kids?
The campers?
Yeah.
So our youngest camp group, Ackventure Junior,
Yeah.
that is 3 years, 6 months to 5 years.
Okay, interesting.
So it's one of the youngest camp groups on the island.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was just curious. Not important, but.
It's not a full day. It's 9 to 1 because they're very small.
Yes. Little guys. Thank you.
Of course.
The partners and collaborations, are they all collaborators without fees? You're not paying any of these?
That's
programs?
correct. So all the organizations we listed here are partners that we don't exchange money with, that they either do programming with us for free or they partner with us in a different way. So like Mariah Mitchell, for instance, we worked with them to do the Solar Eclipse Day last year, right, which was so great for all of our students. And, the Lighthouse School, we're working with them on the speaker series right now to bring different educational
I saw
speakers to the
that.
island. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are readers from St. Paul's who come every Monday and
Thank you.
Tuesday and read to our extended day kids. And they've incorporated notebooks in with this now. So they read a book with one-on-one with each student. And then they have a little writing project that they do with them. It's grown a lot in the past couple of years. It's really incredible. And they're all volunteer.
That's great. And I saw you just started a father's play group, which is great.
Dads and kids.
Yeah, dads and kids, which is wonderful.
It's so funny how different that is from, say, like Circle of Moms. It's like, it's a little more freewheeling. It's kind of funny.
What are you saying, Andrew?
Yeah.
I know you're here to present on your gifts and your grants that you write, but I'm just so grateful for your leaderships to be doing what you do for the community school. It's always been close to my heart, but I love the growth. I love the direction. I know how hard it is, and even with the increase in town appropriation, I'm sure you could really use a lot more. And the grace that you do of moving and using buildings that don't technically belong to you, but you do it with grace, and I just really appreciate it, because our community needs a community school with everything that you do. And I would just ask, as my final question at this table to you, is what is the biggest barrier or the hardest thing? I know this isn't a budget meeting, but if you had to pick an area that is challenging, what would you say that would be?
I know what I would say.
Go ahead.
I think hiring is extremely difficult. We would offer twice as many programs if we had the teachers for them. And I think that's probably it's obviously not just us. It's Beth, I'm sure, can speak to this as well. We would love to have, we can think of 20 different programs off the top of our head that we would love to offer, but we just can't hire anyone.
It's hiring in space, and again, we're so thankful for the spaces we have, but if we had a building of our own with its own gymnasium and its own pool, we probably would fill it.
Yeah, Kim would probably second that. She said, build their own building. I will say that the principals have all been extremely gracious in allowing us to have the grace to move around. So it's not just us. We've had, I know that we're in their way, and I know that it's they've worked very well with us over the past couple of years, especially. So, but thank you very much.
Mike's over here too.
Oh yeah, sorry, Mike. Thanks, sweet.
Yeah, I don't think people quite realize all of what goes into it and how buildings are disrupted, right, at the end of the day. And but again, it takes everybody to work together, and it is benefiting our children and our community. So it's just kudos to everybody. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move up to the superintendent's update before we go to the evaluation. How's that?
Sounds great.
And it's nice to have you in person.
Yes, it's nice to be back in person. Hopefully, we will be from now on, but you never know. So, first of all, I just wanted to report on enrollment. We are up 13 students from 1,700 to 1,735 from 1,722 in October. So the elementary school is up by 3 students. NIS is up by 2 students. CPS is level, no change. And the high school received 8 students over the course of the month. So this is definitely a large jump for us since the month before, but we do see that things kind of come and go, up and down. So we will continue to watch enrollment, continue to see where things land. We are about to embark upon the winter months. Sometimes we see a decline and then an uptick when, if and when there are changes across the globe around school schedules. In South America, school starts in February. So we do see some folks that come in Central and South America in the winter months because that's their school year. So we'll be checking and watching, and certainly I'll continue to report every month. That's how we're
It'd
going.
be interesting to know, and I don't expect Mandy to know this necessarily, but it'd be interesting to know, out of the new students coming into high school, if they're returning students. Just to see how much that, you're looking at me like, what? So let's just say the 8 students that have increased at the high school, are any of them returning students? So they've been enrolled, but they unenrolled, and now they're coming back.
We probably do have that information, not off the top of
No,
my head.
I
but
wouldn't expect. I'd just be curious to know, not just for the high school, but for all of the schools. It'd be interesting to look at that pattern. That's all.
I certainly, if I may, I certainly can ask front offices to give me that data as they are accepting students and
If the committee
Sure,
wants,
if it's something
wanted
that interests
it'd
you.
be interest to see the pattern.
because obviously families move with the where they can make ends meet. So if it could be that they're here for the summer months into October and then head south over the winter and then come back. So it's always interesting to see that. I mean, we are a tourist economy, so
Right.
we do see that. So, okay, next up is the school calendar. We did postpone this until December 3rd because we did not have a chance to have feedback from the Nantucket Teachers Association, and we had one pesky little date that we were trying to fix. So hopefully we've done that. We'll be securing that with the district leadership team at our next meeting, and then we'll get it to the NTA right away to check that. I wanted to report a little bit on the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendent and Massachusetts Association of School Committee Conference, which happened this past weekend, Wednesday through Saturday. I was very lucky to have gone this year with the clerk of the school committee, Katie Bedell, on Thursday. We made it a one-day event. We attended an in-person meeting that really had some wonderful speakers. We were very lucky to have seen some great sessions. The general session that we attended on Thursday was keynoted by Tim Shriver, who is the founder and CEO of the Dignity Project, and I thought this was really interesting and very timely. He discussed the importance of maintaining dignity as the tensions and cultural divisions continue to increase in the country, especially for educational leaders. He also noted that teaching students skills such as perspective taking, curiosity, conflict resolution, and empathy sets our students up for success as the future leaders tasked with bridging the divide in the future. So after the keynote, I attended a session provided by the Mental Health Collaborative, which is a statewide organization that provides mental health professional development and training for adults and curriculum for middle and high school students as well. It's really amazing because it's not just teachers who have opportunity for this professional development. It's also coaches. It's also parents and caregivers. So it really branched away from just dealing with what happens within the schools and offers a little bit more training and professional development. I thought that the section of PD for athletic coaches is going to be really interesting. So I've already mentioned this to our athletic director, Travis Lombardi, and we're going to investigate a little further for what we might be able to do with our coaches. It's a one-time training of 75 minutes, but it's a train-the-trainer model. So once we train our coaches, then they will be able to train others or do their own, kind of review and refresh each year. Katie attended a session while I was at that session on the importance of partnerships between the school committee and the municipal board in order to keep students who are our youngest residents of our community in the forefront when discussing fiscal needs. So I thought that was very timely as well. In the afternoon, I attended a session on safe routes to school and student circulation around arrival and dismissal. And Chip Clooney got a whole bunch of texts during the time I was there asking about, have we done this yet? Have we applied for a grant of our crosswalks? Have we done? So it was very interesting because it really looked at not just the circulation of traffic patterns outside our schools, but it talked about how one incident or one thing changes the entire flow. So as you have parents lining up 2 hours ahead of time or 1 hour ahead of time, that blocks our buses from being able to get in. So our buses are late then, and our students are not in school. So how do we train our parents and all of the folks who are part of this circulation to have a much stronger understanding of the system and how they're one step, like I can't, my student can't take the bus because it's late all the time, so I'm going to drive them to school. Well, they're actually part of the problem now because we can't get our buses in where the traffic around the schools is intense. So it really offers opportunities to really look at things differently, and also traffic within schools. So as you look at your hallway patterns and bell schedules and moving people around within a building. So there's a lot of interesting information that can be shared through consulting. So I am definitely interested in looking to see if maybe we have a little audit to see how our traffic patterns could potentially be improved, but we will see. Katie, on the other hand, attended a session that I thought was really amazing, parent advisory councils. So looking at the new policies that are going to be enacted around the requirement of CPAC and LPAC in all districts. So I think that's going to come to your plate soon to see about the policies that are protecting the rights and the expectations of CPAC, which is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, and LPAC, English learners. So. And we finally finished the conference.
That's where you are.
The conference with a session on the important role of the school librarian and how crucial these positions are to the heart of a school. It was really interesting. The two librarians who were there talked a little bit about book challenges and book bans, and I thought that was quite interesting because there is an entire process at the state and national level about book challenges. And so most of the challenges and bans that come up and that are requested come from outside associations that are highly organized and push certain materials to be examined as to whether or not those things happen, or whether or not they are to be kept in a library circulation. So it was really interesting and definitely meaningful, and it made me appreciate our librarians a little bit more. So great opportunity. Thank you very much for supporting that. Katie and I really got a great day's worth of information, so thank you very much. And I hope next year you'll join me. I want to invite Stephanie Hoban to the microphone. Stephanie is our educational tech director. She attended a MassQ conference in October, and I wanted her to give a minute share with us. Did she go? She stepped out. All right, so I'll have her come back. I still have a few more things to talk about. Our bus situation is becoming dire. We are continuing to struggle immensely with the lack of bus drivers on the island. Cape Cod Collaborative has only 4 drivers, and we are seeing a large increase in the number of students needing transportation to and from school. As such, we have added an early route and a late route for grades 6 through 12 to and from our airport road bus stops on Old South Road, and especially serving the Richmond housing complexes, Ironwood, etc. At the bus stop right now, there have been counted 82 students waiting for the bus, and it is unsustainable. So we're trying to figure out what to do. It's very challenging because we want and need to have those children come to school. So we're still at a loss for more drivers. They are updating their database now to have a clearer picture of regular ridership, and that will at least give us particular numbers so that we know we're over by 10 students on this route, we're over by 5 students on this route, we're over by 15, we're over by 25. And so by understanding the numbers better, that will help us to get a stronger picture of how we could make some adjustments. This might come to the school committee with recommendations for changing our policy around either mileage, which I would not recommend, but potentially about the ridership of our older students. As they are becoming more independent, perhaps they can find other ways to get themselves to and from school with using the NRTA buses, using bicycles, etc. It is not easy not to be able to transport students, but we don't have very much that we can do at this point with the lack of drivers. And we do have an order with the Cape Cod Collaborative for vans, and they're small passenger vans that can accommodate up to 7 or 8 passengers. Those vans are coded for transportation to and from school, so they are very specially outfitted for that. The licensure needed to be able to drive one of those vans is significantly less taxing. There is no CDL that's required, so anybody could do it. I could go out and get a license, which I might do, just to be able to bring our students.
Right now you want
Well, exactly. That's a little small to carry a bunch of kids, but either way, that could solve some of our problems for the more outlying areas. We have some students in Sconset. We have some students in Nantucket. We have some on Cliff Road at the northern part of the island, and Wawinit. So some of those areas we need to reach, and right now our big buses are taking long trips and picking up some of those students and coming back. So it would be very helpful to at least have those students in vans. We'd be able to do that. It would help certainly with getting students to school on time and not having them have to get up at 6:15 to be outside at the bus stop at 6:30. So.
Right.
Have we spoken to NERDA to see if there's a way to coordinate some of these things?
I have reached out. He's escaped. The new NERDA director, Gary
Roberts.
Thank you. He and I have been doing email tags, so we both know we want to speak to each other about this. Their schedules would have to change dramatically because they don't start their schedules before 7:30, and we need our kids to get in school. So they would have to start an hour earlier. And maybe that's an opportunity, though, to talk about ridership and how important it is, and that certainly we would have people who could support at least getting from the major stops. So it could be that a high school student or a middle school student would have to get themselves to a NERDA stop, but even that could be a great help for us in kind of lightening the load on the current bus schedule and the number of students.
Does the collaborative see similar challenges on the Cape?
Not as much, not as
No.
many. They still have plenty of issues with finding bus drivers in general. And Nantucket right now is paying, I believe it's $44 an hour for a minimum of 2 hours per day.
Mm-hmm.
So all bus drivers will automatically make $88 based on their schedule. So obviously extra trips are brought in. They're certainly paid for that. We do have, I think we have some talented drivers. They're good at what they do. They care very much about the kids, so that's important, and they see the importance of getting them to and from school, and they don't want to leave them behind. It's just tricky when we had an incident on Friday where there was a miscommunication, and Cape Cod Collaborative was expecting attendance to be done, and students who weren't on attendance lists were not permitted to ride the bus, so we had to deal with that. That is not happening right now. This week, everyone is going on the bus, and we are hoping very much that the buses are not overcrowded, although they are very, very close to being overcrowded, and we don't that's illegal. We can't have more than 71 students on a bus.
That's 2 a seat.
So, yeah, or sometimes
see.
3.
Yeah.
Yes. So, it's challenging. It's really challenging. So, I do know there are 2 people in the pipeline. So my hope is that at least one of them gets their license in the next few months, and we can just get them here. I'm a little concerned. One of our bus drivers will be going away for part of December, and so we're going to have to figure that out and how that is going to affect. Luckily, it's a small bus driver, so it might be a little bit less of an impact. Sorry.
Would the collaborative be able to provide drivers if we had a host home that could put them up during the week?
We have asked about that. They don't have extra
They
drivers.
don't.
That's part of their problem. So, but it has happened. We have gotten a few to come and take, especially on a day when 2 drivers called out sick. It was kind of like, wow, we need you now. We need you here. That said, we'll continue to work with them. There have been lots of questions around, do we change bus companies? Do we look at acquiring the buses ourselves? I don't want to give Martin a heart attack, but I don't know if acquiring buses ourselves is in the works. It is a very challenging thing. We don't have any mechanical support here on the island with such large buses that are very specific. We would need to send them off anytime there's a mechanical issue. So that's a little tricky. So
I think if you look back, we have done that.
Yeah.
And it was not an overwhelming success. It
No.
was filled with problems.
And we are also transporting many more students. When I started, I remember the bus ridership was below 200. We are now at 447. So we've got to deal with that and figure out how it's going to work. So I do have one more. Stephanie, are you here? Are you ready to come up and share a little bit about MassQ? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Hoban, Tech Director. Recently, I and Dave Evans, one of our techs, and Joanne Johnson, Network Coordinator, attended the MassQ conference, and also Jill Superintendent, the NHS librarian, and we went for 2 days. So the MassQ is a conference for Massachusetts computer-using educators. So clearly it's been around for a long time because it has a really bad name. The biggest things on the agenda were cybersecurity and AI, and sometimes cybersecurity with AI. So I went to Joanne and I went to most of the cybersecurity. Joanne was able to go to some Aspen workshops, meet with the Aspen users group, which is always great to be able to see those kinds of people in person. Dave, one of the big things Dave did is, as you know, we have new line boards, interactive boards in a big chunk of our schools. We have a capital request to outfit the rest of our classrooms with new line interactive panels. Those panels are not currently connected to the internet, so they're kind of half being used the way they're supposed to be used. So Dave was able to speak to the new line reps about how to get the boards online, how to secure the boards. There's been a concern if teachers log into their Google account, how do we protect them if they walk away and forget to shut them down. So we're moving in the right direction with those boards, and I think Dave attending MassQ was a great step in that right direction because he's got the contacts now that he needs to start making that happen. And fingers crossed that our capital budget request is approved, and then we can outfit the rest of the school. Plus, we talked to them about training, their willingness to come to the island and train, or their willingness to do online training. The other piece, of course, was the cybersecurity and AI. The cybersecurity stuff was chilling, so it was really terrific for me to see it because I just don't think people can be scared enough about it. And one of the biggest things for me, the biggest takeaways for me was how important our young students' data is to cyber attackers, to bad actors, primarily because once they get the data, they can then use it. Say if they got a kindergartner's data, they could then use it for 23 years before that kindergartner even knew, or 18 years before they even knew that their data was being hacked, that their identity had been stolen. And so our data, old lady data, they don't want it. I mean, it's like 50 cents. I'll give you 50 cents for that. That's it. But the young person's data is like gold on the black market. So it really brought home to me how much we have to shore up our cybersecurity. So we are moving in that direction, taking giant steps forward in that. They also talked about making sure that our tools that we currently use to protect student data and our security in general, our internet security in general, uses AI tools because that the hackers are using AI tools. And so we need to make sure that our tools are embedded with AI defenses. So I found it to be quite a useful workshops for those things. Then, of course, it was always great to just see what is on offer, what's out there. We are pretty satisfied with our suite of networking tools, but it's always great to meet vendors and hear what might be the next steps, what might be the next generation. I think it's always important to have those things in the back of your mind. So when you're talking to a principal, you're talking to a teacher, you say, oh, wait a second, let me get that out of the back of my mind and bring it forward now. And it was the first time that Joanne had gone to that conference and the first time that one of our techs had gone to that conference. So I was delighted to be able to give them that opportunity to do that. And I think they brought home a fresh feeling of what we can accomplish when we all work together and put our brains together. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one more thing, a celebration. I hope Mr. Murphy is still here. I wanted to congratulate Vince Murphy. The select board unanimously approved the school committee recommendation to appoint Vince Murphy to the school committee vacancy for the remainder of this year. We are excited to have you, Vince, coming up. And Vince has really gotten himself moving right away, hit the ground running, went to the MASC course that is expected of all new school committee members called Charting the Course. So we sent him over to Hyannis just this weekend to do that. Hopefully he learned something new. And we look forward to having him, again, big shoes to fill. You got big shoes to fill. I will wait to celebrate our outgoing school committee member later. So, thank you.
Welcome. Thanks. Well, thank you very much. Well, moving on, before we do our votes with the superintendent's evaluation, school committee has several charges, one of which is to hire and evaluate our superintendent. And so this is a collaborative effort that we met with Dr. Hallett and in a workshop, Dr. Hallett provided us the evidence and indicators of the standards that we are to evaluate her on. This is a 2-year cycle. We voted to change it from annual to biannual. And so I'm going to read off the areas and then the evaluation piece. The state requires us only to comment if something was unsatisfactory or needs improvement, or on the other side it was exemplary. So in here it has very few comments per item, but we do have a narrative at the end. So if you will bear with me, please, I will just read this through. We have the goals that Dr. Hallett is working on, and they are the professional practice goals, student learning goals, and district improvement goals, which there are 2 within that group. And the school committee agreed that they were met, those goals. We have, under the performance on the standards, we have 4 standards that Dr. Hallett was evaluated on. Standard 1 was instructional leadership, which we have found proficient. Standard 2 was management and operations, also proficient. Standard 3, family and community engagement, proficient. And Standard 4, professional culture, proficient. And we'll break down it a little bit more. So the overall summative performance evaluation on that was proficient. Comments in that area is Nantucket Public Schools are fortunate to have a leader as dedicated as our Superintendent Hallett. It is a pleasure to serve our district with Dr. Hallett leading the way. Moving on to the performance goals, there are areas did not meet, some progress, significant progress, met and or exceeded. So under the professional practice goal, and I will ask for your agreement to not read out the descriptions of each goal, but Dr. Hallett was evaluated under significant progress and met. That means that the school committee members that did their individual evaluations felt fair that we needed to put in because there was more than one with that measurement. Under goal 2, under student learning, again, significant progress and met. District improvement, which is goal 3, significant progress and met. And district improvement, goal 4, is also significant progress and met. And this, I believe, will be public document and on our website, so if anyone has an interest to look further. The performance rating, under the standard 1, instructional leadership, curriculum is number 1A, and that was proficient. 1B, under instruction, was also proficient. Out of the 6 performance standards, we were charged with evaluating 3 of them. So the next one was 1D, which is under evaluation, and that too was proficient. There were no comments over that, but the overall standard for instructional leadership is proficient. Under standard 2, which is management and operations, there were 2 areas, section A and B, that we evaluated our superintendent on. One is the environment, which develops and executes effective plans, procedures, routines, operational systems, and that was proficient. And then human resource management and development, and that also was a proficient rating. Overall, for that standard, it was a proficient summative. On the performance rating for standard 3, family and community engagement, there was one area that we were focused on, and that is sharing responsibility. Continuously collaborates with families and community stakeholders to support student learning and development at home, school, and in the community. That was a proficient evaluation, and overall, for that standard, proficient. Standard 4 was professional culture, and there was one area that we were evaluating under cultural proficiency. That was ensures that policies and practices enable staff members and students to interact effectively in a culturally diverse environment in which students' backgrounds, identities, strengths, and challenges are respected. And that also was proficient. And there was another area in continuous learning. Develops and nurtures a culture in which staff members are reflective about their practice and use student data, current research, best practices, and theory to continuously adapt practice and achieve improved results. Models these behaviors in his or her own practices. That was proficient and exceeds. So the overall standard for professional culture was proficient. The comments, which oversee really the full evaluation, that Beth has made culture, inclusion, and equality a priority. She has highlighted this commitment through continued professional development for herself as well as her staff. Similarly, she continues her educational growth through the year, attending both in-person and virtual workshops, as well as attends conferences and networking opportunities with other superintendents across the country. Beth's willingness to join the pep band is admirable. Having our superintendent be part of a community effort speaks volumes of her commitment to the extended community. Although the superintendent shows some exemplary traits for 4D, continuous learning, it is important to stay focused on providing professional development for all staff while exploring and receiving feedback for what the right fit would be to benefit each category or level of staff growth. And it would be my honor to just speak on behalf of this committee to say thank you. We are very fortunate to have you in a leadership role, and we are thrilled that we have you for the next 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you everybody for working on this.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to votes, discussions and votes to be taken. May I have an approval to, for the grade 5 outdoor classroom to Yarmouth Port field trip in April 15th, 2025 to April 17th, 2025.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have an approval for the NHS Diversity in Spanish Club multicultural field trip to Boston, November 22nd, 2024 to November 23rd, 2024.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Updates to policy IKF, graduation requirements.
If I may, I'd be happy to.
Yes, if I could just get the motion and then we'll
So
have
moved.
may I have a second?
Second.
Okay, move for discussion.
Sure. So you will see this at the end of your packet. It's graduation requirements policy IKF. It was in need of updating. This is was from 2017. That was the last time it had been updated. So I wanted to clarify, and you'll see here that the 4 full-year English courses requirement. We struck 1 semester of writing seminar. That does not happen anymore. We now currently have 4.0 credits at the English course level. 4 full years of mathematics, algebra, geometry, striking, plus 1 semester of financial literacy required, and that goes from 4.5 credits to 4.0 credits. That financial literacy is still required, but it moves to the social sciences. Right. So you'll see that 3 full-year courses of social sciences, including 2 years of U.S. history, plus 1 semester of financial literacy required. So that credit requirement goes from 3.0 to 3.5. So that is the change to this, and we definitely hope that you will entertain that. It will help very much in our for our graduation.
Is there any comment? Or
I have a question. Is this financial literacy, is that personal finance?
Yes.
Is that what, okay.
Yes.
seeing no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We have approval, please, for policy DKC, R&P, expense authorization, reimbursement rules and procedures. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is an authorization around reimbursements. There is a change to the meal expense guidelines. We just wanted to put that in here, so it mirrors the town. If it says if pre-approved, meals will be reimbursed up to $50 a day. That's been struck, and it's $100 per day. The maximum allowance includes the gratuity sales tax, so added the word sales tax. Those are the changes to the policy.
Oh, it includes gratuities.
It does now, yes.
And sales tax.
And
Ah,
sales
it should
tax,
be
yes,
and.
Yeah.
exactly,
And
not,
sales.
yeah.
We will add and. Thank you.
Why did we change to 100?
My understanding is from our finance director and the finance director of the town that 3 meals a day is quite expensive. It is difficult to feed yourself over 3 meals.
But
so
it mirrors the town's
mirrors the
policy.
town's,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry, no. It's not. They're still negotiating theirs, so I don't know what the recommendation of Brian Durbin, the finance director, would be, but I assume it's going to be very similar. So the reasoning behind is up to probably 3-4 months ago, we were not reimbursing for gratuity or sales tax. We were only reimbursing employees for actual meals. But it changed, and when you factor those 2 items in, and the fact that everything has increased, the costs have increased with meals, we thought this was a reasonable amount. the finance department is aware of it. Brian is aware that we're negotiating an increase, or not negotiating, but proposing. But I don't know what their actual increase would be for the town at this moment. But they are also updating their policy.
Thank you. And it's reasonable to add gratuity and sales tax because you're paying it. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is the recommendation for the mask policy GBEE, person use or personal use of personnel. Okay. Use of technology. May I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
This is a new policy that the MASC has put into place around the personnel using technology and the importance of having responsible digital use. So this makes it clear that an acceptable use policy has to be put into place, requirements around using school-issued accounts and not personal accounts for any and all communication with students and parents, etc. Employee communication is a matter of public record, so that means anything that is used, including social media, does become public record, and that's important to know. Online activities that would not be considered appropriate in the classroom should not be conducted online. So it is just a timely policy that has to do with making sure that personnel use of technology is appropriate. So this is a full adoption of the MASC policy.
Any questions? All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're going to have a vote to remove the following policies per mask recommendation. May I have a motion to accept the GA personnel policies and goals and the GDQD suspension and dismissal of support staff members?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
I can speak to it if you'd like. GA personnel policies goals. The goals are more specific to districts, so rather than hold policies at a more state level, they can be addressed in a code of conduct or an employee handbook. And GCQD, resignation of professional staff members. Resignation is covered in contracts. Doesn't need to be a policy.
Great. Okay. Any questions? All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. May I have an approval to approve the October 15th, 2024 meeting minutes?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. May I have an approval for the transfer and invoices?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Celia, you are up.
Already? Wow, look at that. Currently, well, not too much has happened in the past couple weeks. I know Nora talked to you last time. Feels like a while ago. We're currently in the middle of No School November, as they say. So, again, it's not slow exactly, but not too much going on. There has been a bit of club activity, some group activity, a lot of fundraisers, which is really fun. We had a joint fundraiser for the book club, diversity club, Latin club, and the Spanish club. They did like a catalog type thing where you go around and you can sell through a catalog, kind of like Girl Scouts, but with like candles and things. Thank you to Miss Vassal for a donation. So that was great. And then we had a couple bake sales, one through Student Council and one for the Europe trip students. We have a bunch of kids going to Europe in the spring. That was very successful. We've gotten over $2,000 for that,
Wow.
which is fantastic. And there's plans for more. We have the drama club starting up again. Their show, I don't know when they're planning on doing it, but they have started. Auditions are coming. Oh, no, auditions were today, actually, for that. Also, Whaler Word, which is our news. It's our advisory announcements, video news kind of thing, rather than the newspaper. It's weekly, which is come back, which is amazing. Let's see. Oh, yes. And then a couple upcoming. Oh, the National Honor Society has new members, quite a few. And we've also chosen a new, our new president, treasurer, scribe, which is great. So National Honor Society is quite large this year. It's fantastic. I did not get to go to the induction, unfortunately. And then just this week we have a senior trip to the Dreamland production of The Great Gatsby, which we're all excited about. But it's nice getting to leave school for an hour. But that's pretty much it that I have. So.
Who runs the Whaler Word?
I'm not positive on that, actually. Oh, Miss Mason. Okay, it is Miss Mason. That's what I thought. Yeah. Yes, I forgot. Yes, I have not been keeping a track. Oh, wow. Yeah. We have the Nantucket Golf Club is starting. The first meeting is tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes. And then Powder Puff is coming up. People are currently practicing for that. The teams, I don't know how well everyone's doing, but hopefully it's going well. We'll see who wins.
Hopefully no accidents.
Yes. I am biased on who I hope wins. On that.
I do have a question, if I may.
Yeah, of course.
Do we know what the drama club production is?
I emailed someone who I know is in it because I want to know as well, but she hasn't responded yet. I will have Nora tell you next meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, I would also like to know that. There might be a flyer somewhere.
Of course.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I saw that. They're doing Finding Nemo, correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
Thursday.
Oh, that's right.
Opens Thursday.
That's right.
If you could repeat that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The middle school musical is starting. What did you say?
Thursday.
Thursday.
At 6.
Thursday at 6.
Friday at 6.
Friday at 6.
Saturday
Friday
at
at
6.
6.
Sunday at 2.
Matinee at 2.
Thank you.
Finding Nemo Jr.
Finding Nemo Jr.
I will be there.
Any questions for Celine? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Subcommittee and work group reports.
We
With
met
the
with policy, as is evidenced by our package, and last time I mentioned that we were choosing the executive director for Cape Cod Collaborative, and we did offer a contract to a candidate who was not unanimously selected, but very, very close. It was actually the person that I was hoping would be offered the contract, so that's under negotiations now, but that should be
Good.
done, yes. And of course, buses are top of mind and talk about it a lot. So,
It's so good that you're so involved with the collaborative. It's really important. Thank you.
oh, that's right, and we met with Net as well.
Great.
And we're considering new members of the board for that
Oh,
as well.
terrific. Agenda for next
Yes.
meeting?
So we will be looking at the town annual report, and it will be also a focus on our English learner department. So an update on the department, on access scores. Hopefully we will have our LPAC officers come to share a little bit about their activity over the course of the year. Last year and starting this year, and then I do hope to invite Veritas individuals to come and share what they've been up to over time. I also do want to mention, while the committee is together, that we do need to plan a reorganization meeting after today so that we can reallocate some of the committee work that Pauline has graciously been on over time. So I will be reaching out, Katie will be reaching out to you with some dates probably for next week in the hopes that we can do that probably middle of the day, something like that, so we can pull together. And so finally, I would like to take this time to congratulate, with a little bit of a heavy heart, our outgoing school committee chair, Pauline Proch. Pauline has been so instrumental to the district in her tenure here as a school committee member. She has been so connected to the schools, not only having children go through the school system, a husband who works in the high school. She has been the director of the community school herself and has been so deeply involved in all things Nantucket Public Schools. We are so thankful for all that you have done, and under my tenure, just 5 years, it has been such a pleasure. I started my career here with you, and I'm sad to not be ending with you, but I'm certainly very, very excited for you as you move forward in an area that, again, serves our students, which is so exciting. We will miss you terribly. We are excited to have Vince, but he knows he's got some big shoes to fill. And
He's
on
got the accent. So
check. So thank you for everything you've done for us, and on behalf of all of the leadership team in all of the schools, we wish you all the best, and don't be a stranger.
I won't be.
Thank you.
Thank you. I got my bag. Where is it? I love it.
We thought you would need a
I did
MASC
well for that.
MASC
I
bag.
love it. I didn't get a chance to read everything, and if you didn't get a chance to sign it, I think there's still some pens in the bag. But, but this is great. I won't go out in the rain with it. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure, and as I had said earlier, it's the right thing to do for me, and I think also for the district. And I couldn't be happier with Vince coming in for the next round until the next election, and I hope you will run for election. And thank you, everybody. I'm not going far. You'll see me in just different capacities, and I look forward to continuing to work with you all. But thank you.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
I wonder if Mandy knows what the, Cecilia, I wonder if Mandy knows what the show is. She must know. Mandy?